I don't know how much longer I can take this. My life is falling apart, and I feel like I'm barely holding on. I'm mentally drained, physically exhausted, and I don't even want to be in this world anymore. I've been married for 5 years, and we have a son. He has developmental delays, and he needs a really good specialist, someone who can truly help him. But there are no specialists like that in our city. Doctors have thrown around different diagnoses. Some say it's a speech delay. Others suspect autism or sensory processing disorder. The uncertainty is unbearable. I kept hoping things would get better on their own, but they didn't. And I knew I couldn't just sit back and wait. I had to act before it was too late. My husband and I talked about temporarily moving to the capital so our son could get the care he needed. But he said he couldn't afford to support both of us alone. Housing, food, therapy, everything was too much. Then my parents offered to help. They said they would cover food expenses, and my sister, who already lived in the capital, agreed to let us stay with her. That was my only option. Even though my sister and I never had a good relationship, I had hope. I packed our things, took my son, and we left. I truly believed things were finally moving in the right direction, but from the moment we arrived, I knew I had made a mistake. My sister didn't even come to meet us. I was exhausted, carrying heavy bags, holding my son's hand, struggling just to get to her place. When we finally arrived, the apartment was a mess. Dirty dishes, clutter everywhere. She hadn't even made food, and my son was starving. This was how she welcomed us. This was the support I had been promised. I tried to brush it off and focus on why we were really there. The next day, we took my son for his evaluation. The specialist confirmed what I had feared. We needed to start therapy as soon as possible. There was no time to waste. I should have been relieved. We were finally getting answers, finally taking action. But then the real nightmare began. My sister made my life unbearable. She constantly criticized me, how I talked, how I raised my son, how I even existed in her home. She picked at every little thing. I could feel her resentment every time she looked at me. That night, while she was out at yoga, I cleaned the entire apartment. I did the dishes, tidied up, and even cooked dinner. When she came home, she didn't say a word. No, thank you, no acknowledgement. And then we fought. The next day, my parents called me and told me to apologize. But for what? What had I done wrong? Why was I the one being blamed? I was there for my son, for his future, and yet I was treated like an unwanted guest in my own family. And the worst part, we had already scheduled his therapy sessions. We were finally moving forward. But now I had no choice. I had to leave. I cried every single day. I felt like my world was crumbling around me. As if things weren't bad enough, I started feeling resentment toward my husband. He has money in the bank, savings that could help us get through this transition. But he refuses to touch it. He wants to invest it, either in a house or a car. Meanwhile, our son needs therapy now. I can't work yet. I have a degree, but I don't have job experience because the moment we got married, my husband and his family pushed me into having a child. I should have built a career first. I should have made sure we were stable. But I didn't, and now I'm trapped. I remember the conversations we had before we got married. Back then, I wanted to work, to grow, to be something more than just a wife and mother. But every time I brought it up, my husband dismissed it. We'll figure it out, he always said. It'll all work out. But it never did. The moment we got married, the pressure started. His mother constantly asked when we were having kids, telling me it was my duty as a wife. His family made it clear. They expected me to be a stay-at-home mom, and I believed them when they said it was the best thing for our future. But now I see how wrong I was. Now I have nothing. No career, no financial independence, no stability. And worst of all, I can't even give my son what he needs. Every night, I lie awake thinking about the future. What will happen if I can never find a way to support him on my own? What if my husband never changes? What if my family always sees me as a burden? I've started having thoughts that scare me, thoughts about disappearing, about running away, about closing my eyes and never opening them again. But then I hear my son's voice. His little hands reach for mine, his eyes looking up at me, searching for comfort, for reassurance, and I realize he only has me. If I give up, what happens to him? I don't have the luxury of breaking down. I don't have the option to escape, so I keep going. I don't know how, and I don't know for how much longer, but I keep going because I have to, because no one else will.